How to start a nurse staffing agency with no experience, the secret they don't want you to know. Here's the hard truth. Most people who tell you that you need tons of experience, industry connections, or a huge bank account to start a nurse staffing agency are dead wrong. In fact, some of the most successful staffing agency owners I've met had little to no experience when they first started. They weren't HR pros or healthcare insiders. They were regular people with a drive to help others and the grit to figure things out as they went. So, can you really start a nurse staffing agency with no experience? Absolutely. I'm here to show you how. And no need to search for anything I mentioned in the video. I've included all the links in the description for easy access. In this video, I'll break down the steps to starting your own nurse staffing business from scratch, even if you have zero experience. By the end, you'll see that it's less about who you know and more about how much you're willing to learn, hustle, and adapt. I'll also share real stories from folks just like you, people who had no idea what they were doing at first, but who now run thriving businesses. Ready? Let's dive in. Step 1. Understanding the industry. It's more than just placing nurses. The first thing you need to know is that running a staffing agency is a people business. You're not just placing nurses in hospitals or clinics. You're solving problems, filling gaps, and helping to keep the healthcare system running smoothly. Sure, that sounds lofty, but it's true. At its core, staffing is about relationships and trust. Take Donna, a mother of 2 who left her job as a bank teller to start a staffing agency after her sister, a nurse, kept complaining about burnout. Donna knew nothing about healthcare or staffing, but she understood people. She knew that her sister needed support and that there were thousands of nurses like her who were overwhelmed by the demands of hospital systems. Today, Donna's agency places hundreds of nurses across the state, and she attributes her success to her ability to connect with both clients and nurses on a personal level. What you need to do first is immerse yourself in the world of healthcare staffing. Here's how. Research the market. Understand the demand for nurses in your area. What types of facilities are in need? Hospitals, nursing homes, home health agencies. Identify your niche. Will you focus on travel nurses, per diem staffing, or something else? You don't need to serve every type of client from the get-go. Start small so and focused. Join forums and groups. There are Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and LinkedIn communities where real nurses and staffing agency owners talk shop. Learn from them. One story I read on Reddit was about a guy who started his agency by asking nurses at his local hospital about their biggest pain points. That simple tactic helped him get his first few clients by tailoring his services to exactly what they needed. Step 2. Legal and paperwork. Don't let this scare you. Here's where most people get stuck, thinking they need to have all the legal answers right off the bat. Spoiler, you don't. But you do need to cover your bases. If you can Google, you can figure this part out. Here's a checklist to get you started. Register your business. Choose a name, file it with your state, and boom, you're a business owner. If you're feeling fancy, you can file as an LLC to protect your personal assets. Get the right licenses. Nurse staffing agencies typically need healthcare staffing licenses. Requirements vary by state, so check your local laws. One agency owner I met said she hired a business lawyer for $200 just to make sure her paperwork was in order. Best $200 I ever spent, she said. Insurance. You'll need general liability and workers' compensation insurance. There are insurance brokers who specialize in staffing agencies, and some offer packages specifically designed for healthcare staffing. Don't skip this step. It's essential to protect yourself and your business. Tax setup. Register for an EIN with the IRS and set yourself up for taxes. Yes, it's boring, but it's important. You can use tools like QuickBooks to make this less painful. Step 3. Building a network. The secret sauce of staffing. This is where you're going to spend a lot of your time, especially at the start. Remember, staffing is a relationship business. You're building trust on two sides: clients, hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and nurses. So how do you build a network from scratch? Start local. If you have no experience in healthcare, get involved in your community. Attend health-related events, seminars, or even volunteer at local healthcare facilities. I knew someone who volunteered at a blood drive and ended up chatting with the hospital's HR director, who gave him his first contract. Crazy, right? Leverage social media. LinkedIn is your best friend here. Connect with nurses, HR directors, hospital admins, and others in the healthcare industry. Create posts that show you understand the challenges they face and how your agency can help. Ask for referrals. Once you place a few nurses, ask them to refer their colleagues. Nurses tend to stick together, and word of mouth is powerful in this field. Here's a pro tip. You can start networking before your business is even fully set up. Start talking to nurses and healthcare workers, asking them about their experiences. Even if you're still working a 9-to-5 job, you can be planting the seeds for your future agency. Step 4. Find clients. Landing your first contract without experience. Let's be real. This is the part that intimidates most people. But you don't need a resume packed with credentials to get your first client. You need to solve their problem better than anyone else. Target smaller facilities. Instead of going straight for the big hospitals, start with smaller clinics or nursing homes. They often have more immediate staffing needs and less red tape to deal with. Pitch yourself as flexible. Many new agencies succeed because they're able to offer flexible contracts. Larger staffing agencies can be slow to adapt, but you can be nimble and offer tailored solutions. Cold call, but do it smartly. Yes, cold calling is still a thing. However, do your homework. Know the pain points of the facility you're calling. For example, a home health agency might be struggling with last-minute cancellations. Highlight how you can fill those gaps quickly. Remember Sandy from a Facebook group I'm part of? She got her first client by cold calling a local nursing home that was notorious for staffing issues. She simply said, "I hear you guys are always short on nurses. I've got a solution." The director laughed, but gave her a shot. Sandy filled 3 shifts that week and now has a long-term contract with them. All because she wasn't afraid to make that call. Step 5. Recruiting nurses. It's easier than you think. Recruiting is arguably the most important part of the business, and you don't need a recruiter's background to do it. In fact, some of the best recruiters are former nurses or people who genuinely care about making life better for nurses. Use online job boards. Post your job openings on sites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, or healthcare-specific platforms like NurseFly. These platforms make it easy to reach thousands of qualified nurses. Leverage your personal network. Ask friends, family, or acquaintances if they know any nurses looking for extra work. Once you've placed a few nurses, ask for referrals. Sell the benefits of working with your agency. Nurses are often overworked, underappreciated, and burn out. Offer them flexibility, good pay, and respect, and they'll be eager to work with you. A woman I met at a conference told me that her agency grew because she treated her nurses like gold. She'd send them handwritten thank you notes and birthday cards, and even give them small bonuses when they worked extra shifts. "It's not rocket science," she said. Treat people well, and they'll want to work with you. Step 6. Running the business. Managing cash flow and operations. Once you've got clients and nurses, it's time to focus on the nuts and bolts of running the business. The key challenge for staffing agencies is cash flow because you often pay your nurses before your clients pay you. Here's how to manage that. Invoice factoring. This is a common solution in the staffing industry. Basically, a factoring company will pay you most of your invoice up front, so you have the cash to pay your nurses. When the client eventually pays, the factoring company takes a small fee. It's worth it to avoid the stress of payroll issues. Keep overhead low. In the beginning, you don't need a fancy office or a ton of employees. Work from home, use cloud-based software, and automate as much as possible. Track everything. Use tools like QuickBooks, Gusto for payroll, and Google Workspace to keep things organized. Step 7. Scaling your agency. It's all about systems. Once you've got a few clients and nurses in the pipeline, it's time to think about scaling. The biggest obstacle to growth is usually a lack of systems. You'll need to put processes in place for onboarding new nurses. Have a streamlined process for interviewing, credentialing, and placing new hires. Managing client relationships. As your agency grows, you'll need to maintain strong relationships with all your clients. Regular check-ins and feedback loops are essential. Automating scheduling. There are software platforms like ShiftWise or Aviante that make scheduling nurses and tracking shifts much easier. Starting a nurse staffing agency with no experience may seem like a daunting task, but trust me, it's possible. I've met people from all walks of life who have built successful agencies with little more than determination and a willingness to learn. So why not you? You've got the blueprint now. It's time to take that first step. Whether you're researching licenses, making your first cold call, or posting a job ad, every small move brings you closer to running your own successful nurse staffing agency. Don't let the fear of inexperience hold you back. Everyone starts somewhere. To recap, here's the path we've covered. 1. Understand the industry. It's about solving staffing problems. 2. Handle the legal stuff. It's not as scary as it seems. 3. Build a network. Relationships are everything. 4. Find your first clients. Start small but think big. 5. Recruit nurses. They're your lifeblood. 6. Manage cash flow. Don't let payroll stress you out. 7. Scale smartly. Systems are your key to growth. Be sure to check out the video description for all the helpful links I mentioned so you can take action right away. If this sounds like the path for you, I've got more tips and detailed guides on the Medical CEO Academy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video where I'll dive into the top mistakes new staffing agency owners make and how you can avoid them. In the world of nurse staffing, experience is great, but it's not everything. You've got the heart and the hustle. Now, it's time to get started. See you in the next video.